Hi, welcome back. So this is the seventh out of the line series of horary chart readings. Um, Very cut and dry, but it's also short because these are horary readings. I find them super, like, just very straightforward. I like the lost item ones. So, anyways, I'm doing this seventh one. So this question is someone asking, when will their daughter come back or move back in? Um, So I'm going to do is I'm going to share the chart just for those who are also interested. And it's also kind of like part of what we do in this show. It's kind of, I guess you can say it's evidence. Uh, so in this one, when I was able to draw it, when I got the question itself, because you want to get the question itself when you're doing horary. You want to make sure you really understand where it's coming through and what places in the chart, because that way you know where to go and you want to be as specific as possible. So it's because it's very straightforward. Um, but other than that, I think if I were in a actual physical, like one-to-one, client to delineate the chart would mean that I could also ask the questions. But the thing is, that's the thing with astrology. Typically you prepare the chart, you have to have the question and you make sure you prepare the chart beforehand to make sure the placements are right. Thank goodness for technology today. Although sometimes, I don't know, I think astrologers in the past spent a lot of time, probably more than today. What would be technically 10 years of experience might be 90 years or something like that. I don't know. So things have been moving fast, anyways. Anyways, I digress. I apologize. Okay, so the question was, when will my daughter move back? So it's a when question. It's about timing. Okay. Um, this looks a lot like the previous charts that I've done, but this time the houses are moving, so it doesn't, not really the same chart. It just looks like the same thing because the planets are in just very similar placements or alignment. Okay. Mm, let's see here. Okay, so the person is represented by the moon, which is also the planet that represents the query. It's another the secondary uh, representation of the query, so the question that was posed. When will my daughter come back? So this has a lot to do with the fifth house is usually children, but could also be the ninth house. But we'll see. So the fifth house has it's ruled by Libra here. So that means we go into uh, Venus. Is there a connection between Venus and the moon? There is not. Okay. Um, there is Jupiter, but here Jupiter rules the sixth house because it's the cusp of the sixth house is Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Um, Technically, we can go into the house to house, house within houses, house within house sort of rule. I forgot there's a actual term for that one. Um, so if we look at your child, so your daughter would be the fifth house or the child. Okay, then we look into their traveling long distance. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Still be the first house. So it'd still be the moon. So there wouldn't be anything there. But we also have Jupiter there. So in fact, it's funny because it's 18 to 18 degrees we have here square. When that question is quite soon because there is no orb difference between the two. That's the rule. 18 to 18 is nothing. 18 minus 18 is 0. So I would say the answer to the question to answer that would be soon. Um, I can't answer the actual because it's 0. 0 is 0. But let me see what else I can find. If we're talking about your children's home, like 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's a planet there, but that's Venus. There is no link between Venus and the moon. So the only thing I can think of is the placement here between the first house and the moon. In fact, here the Jupiter is technically in the 12th house. So it would be things that pertaining to, they say here, indicate events that occurred before the question was asked. Okay, disappointments or sorrow are reflected here as well. That kind of makes sense as well, right? So, but we're not even talking about what I did before. Like it gets a little confusing, but the Jupiter is there. That means that the answer to that question is soon. Okay, as soon as possible. So zero. So zero, it could be any time really. So we don't know, right? So the answer to your question is we're not sure, but it could be soon. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any questions pertaining to this event itself, rather this chart when this was drawn, you can use this as that. But do ask it soon, because otherwise this chart will be gone. Gone as in like I don't know, it's still there because it's usually people ask questions in addition to the question they asked earlier. That can happen, but usually we don't do that. But if you were to ask the same question, and if that hasn't happened, because you know nothing is certain anyways, again, this is what I'm getting here, zero, then ask it 3 to 6 months from now. Okay, if you're asking the same question. I'm trying to double check if there's anything else here. If we're talking about domestic affairs, fourth house, there's no link between the moon and that, and Mercury. If we went to look at Mercury itself, which is tied to the sun rules that second house, but also the sun. Hmm, I would say because the sun rules children. I don't know. It doesn't. The modern rules don't really apply here. If anything, there'll be like three. It's in the same sign, but it'd be like if there's anything at all, if there's any additional questions I would add to this, or any answer that I would add to your question. Let's see here. It's in a fixed sign, and it's in angular house. So because the difference between Mercury and the sun here is 3 degrees. So because if it's soon, that means I would probably say at the very least 3 days, but I don't know, 3 weeks and this is probably my ego adding to this, 3 weeks to 3 years. A long time, I know, but what I saw first was the one that I got was definitely zero. So that means it could be anytime, soon, anytime. But again, it's uncertain. So when is very tricky. The when questions or timing questions in orrery, very tricky because it's timing. Can't really predict time, can we? Linearly speaking, at least. So I hope you answers your question, but I think that's it for now. Again, for those who are watching this, my channel, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later.